tonight we have even more fun with Lee Stranahan and with Misty Winston, and they are here joining us right now. And without further ado, we have a lot to talk about. Censorship, Julian Assange, the state of affairs of America. And so we're going to start with you, Lee Stranahan. You have a radio show on Sputnik currently. What is the name of it?
The name of the show is A Backstory, and it's an afternoon show. I used to be the co-host of Fault Lines for years, and it was a morning show, and that meant I had to get up at 5 in the morning.
Wow.
And it was a great show and 3 hours a day, but I admit I like having a show that I can sleep in till noon and still do the show. It's on at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And the only downside is it's hard for us to get, by the time my show starts in Moscow, for instance, it's 11 o'clock at night. In England, it's 10 o'clock at night. So we get people just when they're going to bed, but we get the West Coast. So it's a great show. And I'm the only host of it now. So
yeah, and could you just speak before we go to Misty just a little bit about the journey because for our audience that's listening, Sputnik is now censored pretty heavily. You can get it on what platforms can people find Sputnik after the censorship?
Well, they just deleted my YouTube channel. We are on, it's at the Sputnik website, and it's also on Rumble. And I'm working on getting it on Odyssey, and it's on Twitter. It goes live on my Twitter feed. Okay,
fantastic. All right. And then you also got the honor of having the label of Russia affiliated state media, right, on your personal Twitter account. So you have that honor?
Yes.
Yes.
And what they do is it's not just a label. They bury your tweets.
Right.
If they give you that label, they don't promote your tweets.
Right.
So it's harder for people to find me. And it's also just BS, because even though I host a show on Sputnik, Russia and no one from Russia plays any part in determining what goes on my show. I am the producer of my show, and I determine solely who we have on the show, what topics we cover, and so on. So what did Lee Camp used to say on RT, where news produced by Americans in America is called Russian propaganda? He said it better, but it's the same situation. So they say it's Russian controlled media, but there's no point where anyone from Russia. And I've previously written for Breitbart News. I was the lead guest investigative reporter at Breitbart, and I wrote for Huffington Post. I've had more freedom working for Sputnik than I've had at either of those positions.
You know, that's so amazing you said that, because that was my experience. I worked writing op-eds, and then of course they produced a podcast for me until the censorship, and I had total control. And my op-eds was always you would think with an op-ed that they would have some input, but they didn't. It was all my ideas. It was my writing. The only thing they did was edit it for the online thing. And, and they never took out anything that I didn't want taken out. It was basically just grammar corrections. Right. So it was fantastic.
I worry sometimes I like Putin too much, because I didn't come to the position initially. I was like a lot of people, I was sort of neutral on Putin. Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I would have said, but I've come to really like, respect, and admire Vladimir Putin. And
me too.
And I think I'm the most Putin friendly host on Sputnik.